Hi, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you, Stephen?
I'm doing great. And honestly, part of why I'm doing great is I've been watching this series over the last few days and absolutely loving it. I was so impressed from like early on, I was a little cautious, like, is this going to be too heavy? Is this going to be something that just doesn't jive with me? But there's so much to it. So
Oh,
I
that's
just, bravo.
wonderful. That's lovely to hear. And it would have made my father proud because he wrote to entertain. That was, he said, I want people to find value on every page. And what you said just proved that this version does that great honor.
And it truly is like that. It is like going through a book, and it does have that aspect of, all right, well, this scene ends, you're like, wow, that was intense, or that was, beautiful, or that was, all these different emotions. And then you go to the next chapter kind of, and you're like, oh, wait, now a little bit of humor or extreme action, all the, it's like so many of the feels.
That's
Yeah, it's,
lovely.
it's very unique. So
Yeah.
why revisit Shogun now?
Well, just for all the reasons you just spoke about, a good story is always welcome at any time, right? Um, Storytelling's an art, and I think a good story is always timely. But if, in a way, the question is also, why do this again? And you just phrased it very nicely. But I think this is such a brand new take on his book, and it encompasses the breadth of his book in a very modern way. It's a complex book. Like, as you said, there's the humor, there's the love story, there's the history, and then there's the undercurrents below all of that. Um, and the questions that it raises about how to live and die well. That's at the basis of Shogun. And I think that that story is always worth telling, particularly in a world that may be seen as having gone half mad, from whatever your
Yeah.
perspective is. I think I know when I read the book, and sometimes when I'm watching the dailies and some of the scenes, I'm struck by how I can apply some of the um, the philosophies into my own life, even after all this time. I think anything that provokes thought about how to live a good life, how to live well, how to choose to live with honor or die with honor in this case, these are good questions to raise, and we need to think about them so that we can live consciously. And I think this book and this Shogun does that.
I think honor in general is just something we're missing. It's at this state of the game. It's like we've taken 10 steps back, and you watch this and you say, you know what? It's good to see, like you said, to have these examples out there for people to see and to think about things differently from different perspectives as well. It doesn't.
Yes, and without judgment in a way. I mean, I think that was one of the things my father did so beautifully in his writing. He presented people's points of view without the judgment necessarily. And then you get to choose as the reader what you think is right, or as the viewer in this case. And I think that's important. It's important to be open to different ways of life, to different cultures, to different perspectives. And then you can decide more fully and completely how to live consciously and how to live well. I mean, we're here, we may as well do it well.
And after all these years, is there one aspect of like when you see it brought to life that was the most satisfying for you? Because the technology and everything's evolved so much that our storytelling can really bring those pages to life. So is there one that you're like, yes, this is what my dad would have wanted to have seen?
I think all of it. To be honest, all of it, because you can't pick one better moment out of it. That's the beauty of the whole 10
Hmm.
hours. For me anyway. It's true to the book, it's true to its essence, yet it's brand new. Justin and Rachel made it in their own way brand new, and um, I think every bit of it is just amazing that it came to be in the way it is. It's hard to put one moment. I think in terms of technology, we've come so far with what we can show, and yet this was done without too many tricks per se. You have that beautiful background. The nature comes into play, which is a subtle, unconscious character of the film, of the miniseries. I think your audience is very sophisticated now, much more so than when the book was published in the late 70s. You have a more global audience, so there's a lot more understanding of some of the basics of the Japanese culture, the sushi, the obvious things. No one knew what sushi was in 1978 when it came out. So I think you're starting from a higher level of global understanding. You can dive in quicker and do more quickly today than you could then.
That's wonderful. As I said, absolutely loved it or loving it. I'm 5 episodes in, and I'm like one of those like, oh, I don't. It reminds me of going back to, I did watch. I believe I watched it as a kid with my parents. We used to watch all those ABC miniseries, and it really brings me back to those days of like, oh wait, I can't wait for that next day to happen. People talking about it. It's going to be it's quite wonderful. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Have a great day.